Welcome to the podcast that will teach you how to successfully invest in and build steady streams of passive income from the highly lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. Veteran real estate investors Kevin Bupp and Charles Dehart from Mobile Home Park Academy will personally share with you the valuable lessons they've learned along their journey as mobile home park investors, so that you too can learn how to build massive cash flow and huge profits from this extremely lucrative niche. So without further ado, let's welcome your hosts for today's show, Kevin Bupp and Charles Dehart.
Welcome, guys and gals, to the Mobile Home Park Academy's weekly podcast. We'll provide all the information that you need to know to successfully locate, negotiate, close on, and make huge profits from the lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. I'm your host, Kevin Bupp, along with my co-host and business partner, Charles Dehart. Charles, man, what's going on, bud? How you doing?
Yeah, nothing much. I'm doing good, though.
Yeah. You're about to head up to some frigid weather here soon, right? We got you're taking a trip up to Minnesota, not for a park, but after that trip to Minnesota, you're heading over to where? Sunny Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, New York. I'm not trying to think about it, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. So, doesn't Buffalo get more sunshine than any other place in the United States? No, I'm sorry. That's where we live right now. That's where we live right now. Yeah, good luck with that one. No, it'll be a well-warranted trip. It's a good park, good opportunity. I think it'll be well worth your time there. You just might have to take some big heavy boots, like 3 pairs of socks and some earmuffs and whatever else you need to do to keep warm. But you're used to that stuff, man. You're from Virginia, so you're used to that kind of cold weather. Maybe not that cold, but
yeah, I'll make do. I'll figure it out.
Okay, good deal. Well, in today's show, Charles, we're going to address. I want to address a topic that it's been coming up quite a bit. We've been getting a lot of emails about it, and we get contacted quite often by new mobile home park investors. They're aspiring to get into this niche and to build massive wealth. We always talk about this all the time about how great we're doing, how lucrative these investments are, and so there's a lot of people that are just trying to jump into this niche, but they seem to be hitting some perceived roadblocks, or different challenges that might be holding them back from entering into this business. So in today's show, I thought it might be valuable if we actually just maybe I came up with 4 of them. After all these different phone calls and emails that were received, I come up with 4 main ones, or 4 primary roadblocks that new investors tend to run into, but they really shouldn't be roadblocks, because there's definitely ways around every single one of these things. And so what I'd like to do, Charles, is I'd like to talk about all 4, but then also give the solutions, all right? So these are the problems, and we're going to offer multiple different solutions for each one of these problems. So why don't we just run through them real quick, what they are, and then we've got a couple of laundry list items we want to go through, and then we'll actually go into the show itself, and we'll answer everything. So the first big roadblock that Charles, I think that we see all the time is that someone's trying to get into this business, but they have zero experience, not necessarily just as a mobile home park investor, but zero experience as a real estate investor. And they feel like, well, although they might be able to find a good deal, like if they actually had the knowledge or the wisdom to actually go out and find a good deal, they wouldn't even know how to operate it. So like they're at the point where they don't know anything about owning rental real estate. And so that's a challenge in itself, but we've got multiple solutions that we're going to give you guys. So that's the first big challenge, is zero experience as a real estate investor in general. The second challenge that we see quite often are that people, they're trying to get into this business, but they've got very little funds saved up, meaning they have very little money to their name, that they might need to come up, for a down payment or something like that, or closing costs. Typically, if you got to get bank financing on one of these deals, or mobile home park, if you can get bank financing, you're looking at 25-30% down. That's pretty much the norm. Okay, and so if you're talking about a $100,000 parking, which is, I don't know if they exist. I mean, it must be a pretty small one, but let's say $1 million park, okay, and 25% is $250,000, 30% is $300,000 plus closing costs. That's a big chunk of cash to have sitting around, and so a lot of people they get concerned because they're like, gosh, like the average deals I'm looking at, like that are popping up on LoopNet or Mobile Home Park Store, they're $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 or more than that. How the hell am I ever going to come up with that kind of money? So anyway, we've got some solutions to that problem, because actually that's probably that's one of the biggest problems, right? People are like, how am I going to do it if I don't have the money? But we've got many solutions to that problem as well. And then the third big one that we see is bad credit, and they're concerned that with their bad credit they won't be able to get bank financing, which that is the truth. If you've got bad credit, more than likely, if you've got a tarnished past and you try to go get bank financing, the bank's going to want to see that you're going to be a promising guarantor and you're going to be able to guarantee this loan and make them feel all good, warm and fuzzy that they're going to get their payments on time. But if you've got a tarnished past, then that's probably not going to happen. But again, Charles, we've got solutions, don't we?
We do.
All righty. And then the last one that we see is number 4 is they just don't know where to get started in this niche. So this mobile home park investing, there isn't a ton of education out there about this. And a lot of people they don't even know where to get started, to learn this niche enough to where they'd feel comfortable buying their first property. If you want to learn how to flip houses, wholesale houses, invest in apartment buildings, self-storage, whatever it might be. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of books out there on all those different topics. You go on Amazon, you can listen to probably 50 different podcasts on each one of those topics. But mobile home park investing, it's just like mysterious underground cult, I guess, is the best way to put it, Charles. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I almost like to mention to people that I don't know or that I'm meeting for the first time and they ask what I do. I invest in mobile home parks. And sometimes I do it just for the weird reaction I'm going to get from them, because it normally takes people back a little bit. Oh, you invest in mobile home parks? And so there's not a lot of education out there about this niche, but we're going to talk to you guys about how to get educated in this niche and the different steps that you can take to learn what you need to learn to get going. But Charles, before we dive in there to those solutions, to those problems, let's go through a couple of laundry list items that we have here. And we'll make this really quick, sure, guys. The first one, actually, we only got 2 today. We're going to make it super quick today. Only got 2 today. The first one is, as you guys know, I think if you're listening to the show, then you know that Charles and I are based in the Tampa Bay area. And if you're here visiting, we're in the Clearwater side, so western Florida, over here near the beaches. So if you're ever visiting Tampa Bay, be sure to look us up. We'd love to hook up with you while you're in town. Actually, we just had lunch today with Ryan. So Ryan, if you're listening in, it was good meeting you today again. Actually, the second time I met Ryan last year while he was in town. He's an aspiring park investor looking for his first deal, and had lunch with him, and it was just a great time. So if you're visiting, we'd love to have lunch with you or buy a beer or coffee, whatever you have time for. So if you have an interest in meeting up with us, just shoot us an email, mobilehomeparkacademy@gmail.com, and just let us know what your travel plans are. We'll try to coordinate a time to get together while you're here. And then the second laundry list item I want to mention here real quick is, as you've noticed, we've had multiple interviews here over the past couple of months with mobile home park operators, those that actually own mobile home parks, and that's their business. And so whether you have one park and it was just your first one, or you've got 10 parks or 100 parks, whatever size investor you are, we'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to have you here as a guest and learn about your story, learn how about you got into this business, you got into this niche, and just hopefully that we can extract some good information for those that are listening to the show that haven't bought their first park yet. So if you'd like to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you. Please reach out to us, mobilehomeparkacademy@gmail.com, and we'll go ahead and get that scheduled. So, Charles, let's dive into it here. Let's dive into those 4 roadblocks that people hit and how to overcome them. So, why don't you run with the first one, which is the zero experience. So, again, we get a tons of emails and we have multiple phone calls. We have that free 30-minute phone call that we offer, and a lot of people are they haven't bought their first park yet, or they haven't even done their first deal yet. Actually, it's probably more common. They literally... They know about real estate. They watch HGTV, Fix or Flop or whatever it is, and they want to make money. But then they also start thinking about it like, well, I don't want to just fix and flip because that's a job. I want to create cash flow. I want to create ongoing cash flow. And they start digging in a little deeper, and they find that mobile home parks, wow, these things are better returns than anything else that's out there. And so they want to learn about mobile home park investing, but yet they've never done a deal in their life. So what type of advice would you give that person, Charles, that says, you know what, I have zero experience, I've never bought a house in my life, I live in an apartment, I literally don't own my own home, so I've never even done a real estate deal, period. What kind of advice can we give them?
Yeah, I would say the type of advice I would give them is to essentially just seek out an experienced operator in whatever niche of real estate you're going into. So we're talking about mobile home parks, so seek out an experienced mobile home park investor, to either mentor you or partner with you. That would be my advice on that. Mm-hmm. I've done that in the past when I've gotten into real estate. I didn't have any experience when I got into it, just like anybody else does when they get started. So, I had a pretty good mentor when I first started, and they helped me get started in real estate. And then when I got into mobile home parks, it kind of modeled the same way. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. And so, I mean, I did the same thing, Charles. I mean, even with mobile home parks. And so I had been investing in real estate for, I don't know how many years, 10, 13 years, 14 years or something like that prior to getting to mobile home parks. And every different type of investment I've ever been involved in, I've always had mentors. I've always sought out someone that's been there, done that. And so the same thing when I got into mobile home parks. You know, I went out and I found someone that was experienced, that had been there, done that, had a track record. Because, I mean, what's the point of trying to reinvent the wheel, right? And so the same thing applies to if you have zero experience, okay? And so let's talk about real quick, Charles, how someone might find an experienced park operator to partner with on a deal. And, you know, there's multiple different ways. We've listed out, I think, 6 here that we'll mention to you. The first one is being LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn has, if you've never used LinkedIn before, it's free. It's a social media site. It revolves around more business than like social or like, I guess, personal life like Facebook might. It's more business oriented. And LinkedIn has individual groups. These groups typically revolve around a particular topic or industry. And so there's actually multiple mobile home park groups on LinkedIn. And Charles, I'm not very active in them. I used to be. How many are there that are actually active on a regular basis, would you say? Do you ever check in on them?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, there's a couple. There's two that are really big, and then there's a couple of smaller ones. That's as far as I know, really.
Okay. I know there's at least like 5 or 6, and so there might be 1 or 2 that are very active. But either way, I mean, when we say they're active, they've got thousands upon thousands of members in them. So I would start there. You know, go out there and reach out to people, see who are the active people are. You can even start researching their names. If you join that group, it's free to join the group. You can join the group, and then once you join the group, you can actually have a direct link or message directly anyone within that group. And so if you don't know how LinkedIn works, unless someone's in like your first line of connection, you can't really message them directly. But if you actually join a group, they don't have to be in your first line of connection. You can just kind of skirt the system a little bit and message them directly. So that's a great way to find people. And then a second one, Charles, is the Mobile Home University Forum. I mean, that forum's been around for a long time. I know you and I, you're way more active than I am on it, but I spent a lot of time on there as well. And the people that are on that forum are people that are out there making deals happen, right? I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that are new, but there's also a lot of experienced operators on there that own, 100 spaces, 1,000 spaces, 10,000 spaces. I mean, so definitely no shortage of experienced operators on that forum. Would you agree?
No, I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of really good talent on that forum, guys that really know what they're doing. So that's a really good place to go.
Hey guys, Kevin Bupp here from the Mobile Home Park Academy. I'm very sorry for interrupting your show, but I have something really special I'd like to share with you. If you haven't heard already, Charles and I are offering something really cool here at the Mobile Home Park Investing Podcast, and I just wanted to make sure that you knew about it. We're offering a free 30-minute phone consultation with the two of us, where you can ask us anything that you'd like about mobile home park investing. Maybe you're brand new and you just have a few questions that you'd like answered. Or maybe you want to run a deal past us and have us help you walk through the evaluation process. Or maybe you're an already experienced park owner and you just want to bounce a few ideas off of us. Whatever it is, Charles and I, we're very excited to speak with you. And there's absolutely no ulterior motive with these calls, so you don't need to worry about us trying to upsell you or pitch you on some kind of product or service. These calls are simply our way of giving back and connecting with others who share our same passion for this business. And just to reiterate, it doesn't matter if you're brand new or a seasoned investor. These calls are open to everyone. But there is one catch. It has to relate to mobile home parks. And so if you'd like to schedule that free 30-minute call with Charles and I, please send an email to freecall@mobilehomeparkacademy.com. Again, freecall@mobilehomeparkacademy.com, and almost immediately you'll receive an email back with a link to our calendar. And if you haven't received that email within 5 minutes or so, be sure to check your junk folder, okay? Sometimes it ends up there. And when you go to schedule that time on our calendar, please include a little background on yourself as well as what you'd like to discuss on our call. But please be sure that it relates to mobile home parks. Charles and I really look forward to connecting with you, and we look forward to helping you in your journey to success as a mobile home park investor. Now let's get back to the show. Okay. And then here's another one that I thought of as we were going through this for you guys is you could literally pick up the phone, cold call, or write a letter, like send a direct mail letter to other park owners. Okay. So if you follow Charles and I's advice, I mean, go back and listen to our shows. We talk about how we build our database. And so you can literally go build a database of mobile home parks that are, let's say, 30 or 40 miles radius around the park that you like, or the area that you like. And you can literally send direct mail letters or cold call these people. Like, pick up the phone and talk to them. Tell them who you are. Tell them you have zero experience, but you're very passionate about getting into this business. Just be an open book, and just think of how you can bring value to them. And if you're brand new but yet you know how to find a deal, that's it. You've got the value right there. If you know how to find a great deal, but you have zero experience, you want to partner with someone that does, there you go. Reach out to someone that's already been there, done that, and they're in your marketplace, right, Charles? I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone local is definitely something worthwhile to do. Just offer to take them out to coffee. Get some coffee, get some lunch or whatever, and pick their brain a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a great strategy.
Okay, and the next couple are people that are basically professionals in the industry. Now, if you've looked into mobile home park investing even a little bit, then you'll realize that there's mortgage brokers out there that specialize in this niche, where they actually offer mobile home park loans, and then there's also real estate brokers that specialize in mobile home parks as well. And there's some bigger groups out there. There's some smaller individuals that specialize in parks. But either way, what I would do if I was out there looking for somebody, I had zero experience, but I was looking for somebody, go to a mortgage broker that specializes in mobile home park loans, because guess who their client is? They're experienced park operators, right? Same thing goes with real estate brokers that specialize in selling mobile home parks. Guess who their clients are? People that are buying mobile home parks, right? So it's kind of a no-brainer. Reach out to them, befriend them, because here's the thing. Hopefully, if you plan on getting into this business, maybe you can share the favor one day with them, right? By giving them business or by giving them a referral. So it goes both ways. You just really need to open yourself up, get out there, meet other people. There's plenty of people in this business that are willing to help you out, and there's plenty of people that have the connection. So, and then the last one, Charles, this is kind of a no-brainer, right? You and I.
Yep.
You got zero experience, and you know how to find a deal. Seriously, we've got multiple partnerships right here now today in parks that were this exact scenario where someone brought us a deal. They had zero experience, and they wanted to get into the business. They wanted to partner with an experienced investor, and they came to us, and so we partnered on the deal. There's multiple different setups that we've had in this type of relationship, but that's an option. So we are an experienced operator. So if you guys have a deal, you can't find anyone else to partner with on it, think of us, right, Charles? I think so, right? We want more deals, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
I would say just like one last caveat to that would be, one of the things you're going to have to do when you take this route is you're going to have to figure out where you provide value. So that's going to be one of the big things. If you're going to contact an operator and you're going to ask them to spend their time with you to teach you the business, you have to figure out a way that you can provide value to them, because it's a give and take relationship. You definitely want to make it a give and take relationship so that you can get in front of that person. So you just got to figure out where you become valuable for them, and then that this part will become very easy for you after that.
And maybe it's, if you have zero experience as a real estate investor, you know what? Learn how to get the education, learn how to actually evaluate deals, right? You might not have the money or the experience, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn how to actually effectively evaluate mobile home parks. And and also maybe build a database. Like, get out there, start finding opportunities, but actually know what really is an opportunity. Like, not just like finding deals at a mobile home park store and then sending a list off to some experienced operator saying, hey, how do these things look? You want to partner on one? That doesn't work, right? And so you just got to remember that a lot of these operators, like Charles and I mean, we're very, very busy. And if you're going to bring a deal to somebody that's experienced, that's actually out there doing it, get your ducks in a row. Make sure that you got a lot of value that you're going to bring to the table. You want to make their life better, right? I mean, you want to bring value, not just necessarily the deal, but they're already finding deals. They already have deals. So maybe the deal's not even enough. Like, figure out another way to bring value to them as a business owner. And so, Charles, I'll kind of leave it at that. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that pretty much summarizes that one.
Okay. Well, number two then, those that have very little funds saved up and they can't come up with the amount required for a normal down payment. Like I said, typically, if you got to get bank loans, you're looking at 25-30% down. So $1 million, you're looking at $250,000 to $300,000 just a down payment. Then you got closing costs, third-party reports, and such. And so, I mean, it's a significant amount of money. Even with owner financing, sometimes with owner financing, you can kind of structure lower down payments, but but don't expect that, because even I think half probably the owner financing deals we've done, Charles, I mean, we've still put up, 25, 30% down, and it's easier, less hoops to jump through, but you still come up with a significant amount of money. So what are some of the ways that those that have very little money saved can get a deal done, can get into this business?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the owner financing with little down, that's a hard sell for a lot of owners. A lot of the owners that want to do owner financing, they want normal terms like you would find at the bank a lot of times.
They want skin in the game.
So
they don't want the park back.
And it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense for them to want that. They don't want you to just be able to walk away whenever you want to. I mean, just if you're going to put $10,000 down on a $1 million park, that's a little scary for them. That's a tough sell, but it is possible. We've done deals like that. We know other operators have done deals like that. So it exists, but it's going to be really hard to find that. Another option is to bring a money partner in. You can structure something as far as you could do a syndication. Bring a money partner in that's going to be passive, or you could bring an active partner in that's going to bring a lot of the money to the deal, and you bring the deal to the table, they bring the money, and you structure it, whatever you guys agree to. That could be an option, or you just flip the park and start building your capital. That could be another option as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that for a second, about flipping a park. Can you go a little more depth with that, Charles? Like, what does that mean? And, where does someone make a profit? Like how does that whole mechanism work of flipping or assigning a park?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two options with that. You can do an assignment, which is, you put the deal under contract and then you do an assignability kind of thing with you basically search for a new buyer to replace you as the buyer, and then you assign the contract to them. Or you can do sort of a flip where you put under contract, they put under contract with you, and then you basically just work it out at the closing table and take your profit at the closing table without ever owning the property. So
also called a simultaneous close. So in that scenario, like there's literally two closings that happen back to back. In the first scenario that Charles mentioned, where you'd be assigning the contract, you're essentially signing, you're selling your rights off to that purchase and sales agreement that you've used to tie up that property. And it's just as simple as that. There's typically an assignment fee that's associated with that. And that's it. I mean, they're very simple to do. In fact, we'll talk a little bit more about those here in a few minutes. But flipping parks is definitely a way to do it if you have little money saved up. But I want to touch something on the owner financing side, Charles, regarding, you can get into this business with owner financing little down. Like those deals do exist, but they're not all that common. And I'd say more often than not, the deals that we find or that we see or that we hear about that are offering owner financing with minimal down, meaning like 10% or something like that, there's normally some kind of underlying problem there. Like the owners literally, you got to think of it this way, like if it was actually that good of a property and it was making that much money and it was a hassle-free type endeavor for them, why the heck would they ever walk away from it with that little bit of skin in the game? Like, meaning like you putting that little bit of skin in the game, And so you almost got to like put up the yellow flag, whenever you see something like that and say, okay, what's wrong here? That I don't know about. What's wrong here? Like, why are you willing to walk away from this thing with only 10% down? I mean, you don't want to say that to them, but, you want to dig a little deeper and find out why they might be willing to take such small amounts down. And, you might be stepping into a landmine, literally. So just want to kind of think of those things as you go through this. But it's definitely possible. I know that we bought a very large park about 2 years ago. Actually, we tried to put more money down on that one, Charles. It was a 131 space park. We literally offered them 20% down. And they came back after they got to know us for a long time and said, you know what, guys, I only need 10% down to cover my tax nut. And so you keep the other money, put it into the park. I mean, that's kind of that's a rare situation, but it could happen. A lot of this comes down to building rapport with the owners. And so Charles and I always harp on that you've got to build rapport with these property owners. And so getting a low down type owner financing, it might work. Just put the time and effort in. You might find one out there that's a great deal that you can get into with a little bit of money. But either way, I think we kind of covered the bases there, Charles, for those that have a little bit of money, don't have enough necessarily for a traditional down payment. So any other final thoughts on that before we move on to the third roadblock that people run into?
Yeah, I would say that if you know how to find a deal and you've got a good deal negotiated, money is going to be one of the last things that stand in your way. If you know how to, if you know how to find investors, or if you know how to find partners, money really isn't a problem. That's probably the last thing I'll say about that. If you've got a good deal, there's going to be dozens and dozens of operators that are going to be willing to partner with you on that, or buy the deal from you, or act as a money partner. It's just what I've seen.
Absolutely. I mean, you can kind of think back to like number one, which is, we said zero experience, but like the same things can apply. So if you have very little money, but yet you know how to find a deal and you've got a great deal tied up, get on the forums, call an operator like Charles or I, or look, seek out other operators in that marketplace where you've got that deal tied up. You can find, if you got your heart set on being a mobile home park investor, and you've put the time and effort into actually learning how to find deals, how to underwrite them properly, and you've got like a good one tied up, I mean, you've won half the battle already. And so finding someone to partner with you should not be that difficult. I'm not going to say it's going to be super easy either, but if it's a decent deal, you shouldn't have an issue. So if you do have an issue, call us. And then if it's not something that fits our wheelhouse, we'll give you some advice on where you might be able to go. I mean, seriously, it's as simple as that. Charles, let's talk about the third roadblock that people run into, which is bad credit. They can't obtain bank financing. So obviously owner financing is an option, and that you don't necessarily have to qualify like you might with a bank. Sometimes you do still. You have smart owners, sophisticated owners that will still do background checks and such, and credit checks. But let's talk about the investor that he's in he's trying to get into the business. He's got experience, or not experience, but he's gone through some education. So like he's actually gone through some training. He gets the business, but yet he's very cautious, and he's worried because even if he finds a deal, he's not going to be able to get bank financing because he's got bad credit. So let's talk about that, okay? And let's assume that in this scenario that this person's actually got some money even. So they've got some money in their pocket, maybe not 30% down for $1 million deal, but they got some money, but they just got bad credit for whatever reason. What do they do?
Yeah, I would say at that point, find a sponsor. Find someone who's going to be able to sponsor your deal, someone who's got a really good balance sheet and financial statement they can bring to the table and kind of help you guarantee that loan or help you with getting financing, and just kind of it's always a negotiation when you bring people like that in. A lot of times you have to give up some equity to get them on board, but that is an option, and if that's the only way you can do it, then obviously you're going to give up some equity and bring them in to do the deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so being a sponsor, what that means is you're basically exchanging, you're giving away some equity in a deal for someone that maybe they've got good credit, they got a good track record, maybe they got some experience in this business, so they can show the bank like, hey, I know what I'm doing, I'm willing to actually sign on this note, I'm willing to sign on this loan, I'm willing to personally guarantee it to get it done because I believe in the borrower, which might be you. And so in exchange for that, you give that some equity. And so that's what you do. You bring a sponsor. And that's actually very common in the commercial real estate game, is bringing a sponsor in who's got more experience than yourself to help you get the deal done. It's not necessarily common in a residential game. And so if you're a residential investor, you might not have ever heard of that or even thought that that's possible. But in the commercial side, it very much is. And so
it happens all the time in apartments.
All the time.
The time. Yep. People getting started in apartments, they go out and lock up a 80, 100 unit building. If you've never done a real estate deal and you lock up an 80 or 100 unit building, even though you can get non-recourse financing on that, you're going to have to get a sponsor to get that deal done.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So, again, experienced operators like ourselves and other park owners out there. I mean, that's how you find them. So let's talk about the next way, Charles. If you got bad credit, obviously we talk about owner financing a bunch because actually it's pretty prevalent in the mobile home park space. And so maybe if you actually have some money, you've got an owner that says, "Oh, I don't want to owner finance. I'm not really interested in that." And you find out you can't get bank financing. Maybe you don't know how to get a sponsor, or you just don't want to go down that road. Maybe you go back to that owner that's not really interested in owner financing. Again, you got to learn what his objectives are and his pain points. But maybe just offer more down. Maybe you offer more of a down payment. Maybe instead of 20% or 25%, you offer him 30 or 35% down to offset his risk. Maybe that works. I can tell you that money talks in this business, and most of the time with owners, if they have the ability to owner finance, meaning like if they don't have a lot of underlying debt on the property, a lot of times it's in their best interest to actually carry financing if they've owned the property for a long time. But a lot of times the reason why they are against the idea is they just don't want it back. They don't want the property back. I mean, most of the time they're older, they're aging. They're thinking about moving to Florida and playing shuffleboard all day long. They definitely don't want to move back up to Ohio and shovel snow and start working in this park again, which a lot of them, tend to work in the park or like they're intimately involved in the deal. So that's definitely a way to do it. Just entice them with more money down. Charles, what do you think about that? You think that works sometimes?
Yeah, I think that works in a lot of cases. That, for whatever reason, I mean, owner financing is done a lot of times to defer some tax payments and everything else, but it always seems to be, for us, our owner finance deals, they always kind of start at 30-40% down, and we kind of whittle them back down to normal. But yeah, if you offer the owner more money down, then that's definitely going to start pushing them in the right direction to kind of overcome that objection of your credit.
And maybe you start inching that number up a little bit, and then once they get comfortable with you and they start listening to you about the benefits of our financing, and then maybe try to whittle them back down, like Charles said. So it's always an ongoing negotiation. It really is. And so, because at the end of the day, the numbers have to work for you. So if you're getting into the deal because it's a leverage play and you're trying to hit a particular return with your money, the more you put down, the less leverage you're going to be putting in play, and probably the lower the return you're going to have. So, you just want to really think about that as well. The deal's got to make sense. And so, sometimes we run across owners, Charles, that they're like, well, it's a $500,000 deal, but I want $300,000 down. It's like, you're crazy. Like that one, this never makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, anything else we want to mention there about the bad credit, Charles? And, I want to hit on this real quick because I think this is really important. I want you guys to realize that Charles and I, we're just not up here just talking theory. Like this stuff we've actually been through ourselves. Let's talk about bad credit for a second, because I think it's very relevant for me to actually tell you my own story. I lost a lot of real estate in 2008, and so I had tarnished credit before I got into mobile home park investing, and I had really, really bad credit, and it's par of the course back in 2008. Lost a lot of real estate, went through a lot of challenging times, but looking to rebuild myself, getting into the mobile home park space. And so I had bad credit. There was no way I could go to a bank to get financing when I was first getting into this business. I had to go out and find a sponsor. I went out and I found someone that had experience in the business, had been there, done that, had a good balance sheet, had a track record, had some banking contacts. And that's how we did our first couple deals. I mean, we had to bring someone in that actually had the experience that could basically, I don't know, be our support mechanism. He could basically tell the banker that, hey, I believe in these guys. I'll sign my name on the note here. And so it happens. It happens all the time. It's very common in this business. And I can personally attest to that. I mean, it's what you have to do sometimes. You basically have to do what others aren't willing to do if you want to make it in this business or any other type of real estate, whether it's apartment investing or anything else. Like, you just got to be willing to put yourself out there and get uncomfortable. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. It's as simple as that. Right, Charles? I mean, it's challenging, man. Every day we go through challenges. Today we had a bunch of challenges with a manager transition we were making. Every day there's a challenge. But you know what? A lot of times people back out of this business. Even once they get in, they do it one deal and they run into a couple of challenges and they bail out, or they do a horrible job at running the property, and then we come in and swoop it up for a great deal and all is well. But there's always going to be challenges. You got to either appreciate the challenges and learn from them and move on, or maybe just find another business to go into. But it's definitely very lucrative if you're willing to just get uncomfortable and do whatever it takes to get into it. So enough, Charles. I'm done harping on that one. So let's move on to number 4, which is those that just don't know even where to get started. Like literally they're like, okay, well, I heard mobile home parks are great. I heard they're cash cows. I think that's the most common phrase I hear from people. Oh, you invest in mobile home parks? I heard they're cash cows. How often do you hear that, Charles?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So,
and then very subjective. So
yeah, I know. So, but those that are okay, so they ask you, they say, I heard they're cash cows. How do I even get started in that? I don't even know what would I do to even get started with the education side of things? Well, you guys know I was setting up for this, right? So the first thing you guys need to do, right, Charles? Like this is the no-brainer. So how do you get educated? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to schedule a free 30-minute call. Charles and I, we offer it for free. So what do you have to lose, right? I mean, we've been doing this now for a while, and we've definitely had hundreds of people that have taken advantage of it, and we offer a free 30-minute call, which you hear on this podcast, how to sign up for that. So if you have an interest in getting into this business but don't know where to get started, sign up for that free 30-minute call. Charles, what do they do next?
Yeah, they got to listen to every single one of our podcasts. I mean, this is episode 49. There's probably, I don't know how many 50 plus hours of content on iTunes just on this subject. I mean, if you want to get started and you haven't listened to all of the 50 free episodes that we go through pretty much everything in our business, then that's probably where you need to start with. You probably just need to go ahead and go, episode 1 all the way through 50 and, set aside a couple of weeks and make that something you do every day and listen to all that content, because, there's a lot of good information in there. There's enough content in there to get started.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, there is. I mean, we literally go through step by step. I mean, analyzing markets, building a database, direct mail marketing, cold calling. I mean, and then even the operational side. I think we had a show on how to find a manager, how to hire a manager, how to train a manager. I mean, we've gone through everything A to Z with this business. So go back, listen to every single one of the podcasts, and then after that, if you're really serious and you're ready to start doing deals and making money, then the next step would logically be to sign up for the academy that Charles and I are launching. So I didn't really mean for this to go into like a sales pitch here, guys, but seriously, I mean, you got to get educated. Charles and I got educated when we got into this business. I mean, investing in apartment buildings, I got educated. I had coaches, had mentors. The same thing goes with single family homes. You want to do great in that business, you hire a mentor, you hire a coach, you team up with somebody that's been there, done that. So the academy is literally going live this week. And so if you're serious about this business, schedule that 30-minute call if you want to learn more, listen to all the podcasts, and then seriously, if you're ready to just get rocking and rolling and making some money, sign up for the academy. It's a no-brainer. And then after that, we'll give you a couple other options as well. Charles, you want to talk about some of the other things that we'd suggest they do?
Yeah, you can do LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn groups, I've kind of noticed there's not a whole lot going on in those groups. Not a whole lot of participation and engagement there. That's kind of why I don't participate in LinkedIn. You've got mobile home forums, so you've got like the Mobile Home University forum. That's a really good active forum. There's a lot of good active members there. Bigger Pockets is another one. If you go on Bigger Pockets, they have specific sections within Bigger Pockets for mobile home park investing, and there's a lot of good engagement there as well. Those are some pretty good groups, good places to meet people, good places to find experienced potential partners and mentors. And after that, there's regional conferences. I mean, there's mobile home park conferences in the Southeast. Like there's one in Atlanta every single year. There's one in Las Vegas. There's one in Chicago. Where else, Kevin?
Those are the only three that I really know of. I think there's one in Texas now. I just saw some information on, but there's got to be probably at least four regional ones, and then there's the national one that happens in Vegas every year. So definitely great places to go to meet people that are operators. This is a very small, tight-knit industry. It really is. You get to know other people in this business pretty quickly. There's kind of like, it's funny, there's like two generations of this business. There's like the old school guys that have been in it for like 30 plus years, and then like the younger guys like us that are just coming up, and we've been in it for under 10 years, and it's almost like I don't know, Charlie. It's weird because there's a large gap there of like ages. Typically, it's either like you're like 60 or you're like 35 or 40.
Yeah.
So there's a large disparity there. But either way, at the end of the day, guys, you got to get educated. You want to get started. There's plenty of free information out there, but the academy really is it. I mean, Charles and I, we started the academy because we saw that the other training that was out there in the marketplace, there's not a ton of it, but the other training that's out there, although it's good, it's not as extensive as it needs to be. I mean, we really developed the academy as trying to be the most comprehensive mobile home park training available. I mean, we really kind of turned ourselves around and said, okay, well, what would we have needed when we were getting started? Like, what were we missing? And I know there's big parts of it that were missing for us that we had to kind of figure out on our own. So the academy is very intensive. It's not just like a 2 or 3 day boot camp. I mean, it's a 3-month, 90-day intensive training program that, it's A to Z. It's everything you would ever need to know and more about investing and getting started in this business. And so if you guys are serious about it, go back and listen to the shows, but also learn about the academy. If you want to chat with Charles and I about it, you can schedule that free call. And Charles, I think that's it, bud, right? I mean, did we cover everything here? I think we did a pretty good job.
I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did.
Well, good deal then. Well, that's all we have then for today's episode, guys. As you know, Charles and I also offer a free gift for any listeners that take the time to go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating and review. it actually really helps us grow our show when we get these reviews on iTunes. And so if you haven't done so already and you really like the show, you appreciate what we give here, you feel like our show adds value to you and your business, then please just take a few minutes, go over to iTunes and leave that review. And just to entice you a little bit more, we have a free gift that we'll give you, which is the cold calling script that we use in our very own mobile home park business. And we buy about half, but we buy a good majority of our mobile home parks by cold calling. We also use direct mail, but cold calling is a big component of our business. So we'll give you the exact script that we use. So here's how you're going to redeem it from us. After you leave that review on iTunes, just send us an email to gift@mobilehomeparkacademy.com. Just tell us who you are and what screen name you use to leave that review, and we'll go ahead and send the free gift to you. Also, be sure to stop by the Mobile Home Park Academy website at mobilehomeparkacademy.com. You can listen to all those previous podcast shows that we just talked about there, and also get a free copy of the popular ebook that we have, which is called The 21 Biggest Mistakes Investors Make When Purchasing Their First Mobile Home Park and How to Avoid Them. And just if you're brand new to this business, you got to read the book. It's free. We really go through like some of the most challenging mistakes that people make when they get into this, and very expensive mistakes as well. And if you're really serious about this business, grab a copy of that. In fact, Charles, we forgot to mention that. We should have said, like, in addition to listening to our podcast, you got to grab the free book, because that's a no-brainer as well. But well, here I am. I'm saying it now. So grab a copy of that free book. And Charles, I think that's all we have. But anything else to say before we say goodbye?
I think that's it.
All right, guys. Well, this is your host, Kevin Buck.
Charles Dehart.
Signing off.
Congratulations for taking the necessary steps to achieving massive success through the highly lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. Be sure to visit our website, mobilehomeparkacademy.com, to download your free digital ebook version of the 21 biggest mistakes investors make when buying their first mobile home park, and how you can avoid them. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our free monthly mobile home park investing newsletter, which is jammed full of valuable tips, tricks, and strategies to help you accelerate your path to success as a mobile home park investor. More information about this podcast and its hosts can be found by visiting mobilehomeparkacademy.com.